Welcome to FedScoopTV. I'm Colby Hockmuth, sitting here with Jim Haar, Vice President of Technical Excellence for Global Accounts at HP. Thanks for joining us.
My pleasure. Glad to be here.
Great. So first I'd like to start with, what do you think is a good model for using IT technology in government to lower cost?
Well, one of the models we've seen that works pretty well in federal government would be the relationship between the Department of Defense and DISA. And DISA has a shared services model in place to support all the other branches of the military. And that allows the branches, as big as they are, to get economies of scale, centralized procurement, one contract, ease of procurement.
Great. And so how important in the future do you think the government using increased technology and IT is going to be in keeping our government sustainable and competitive?
Well, it's like whether it's in the private sector or the public sector, technology is absolutely critical now. And you can either get ahead of the technology or you can let the technology get ahead of you. In other words, you can manage technology or the technology will manage you. And I think this is what's happened a lot, not only in the public sector, but in the private sector as well, that there's been such a run-up in innovation that just dealing with the innovation, dealing with the new technologies has started to overwhelm organizations. And so I would encourage government to try to stay ahead of innovation and understand what innovations can bring the highest value to bear for particular problems. And be an early adopter and don't be afraid to jump into it. I know sometimes that's challenging, especially in large organizations that are run by policy, but embrace what's coming. It will help you in the end.
Right, I think that's a good point. So what are some of the best examples you've seen in the past year?
Oh my goodness gracious. Well, what I see is limited primarily recently to what HP has done for government. And we've helped government reinvent IT operations in a lot of places. We've helped government refresh old technologies, and sometimes an old technology is a 2-year-old or a 3-year-old technology, where the innovation cycle is that short now that sometimes it makes sense to come in and cycle in and cycle out, so the agencies can take advantage of the latest and greatest technologies, which tend to be much lower in terms of acquisition and operating costs.
Right. Now, looking at the IT industry and government and their business models for lowering costs, how similar do you think they should be?
They should be as similar as they can be, but of course they have different constraints on each other. The government is more bound by policy than the private sector in the IT industry, which is bound by fiscal constraints, right? Profit, loss, how much budget you have, return on investment, et cetera. I do think that the IT industry and government need to continue to come together and work together. I think you've seen a lot of progress in that area in the last 5-10 years. Industry takes government very seriously and vice versa. And government has learned a lot from the IT industry, and IT industry has learned a lot from government as well. So you just got to stay closer together and try to change policy where you can and try to work within it where you can't change it.
Great. Well, thanks so much,
All right.
Jim. I'm Colby Hockmuth, and you're watching FedScoopTV.